All right, guys, welcome back or to the channel. So we got the SEMA Bronco sitting here. We're about to pull it into the shop. We just took some time to clean up the shop, get everything nice and clean and swept, so we can start kind of like a empty slate inside here. So we're gonna pull this Bronco inside today. We kind of looked at it for a few days, brainstormed over powder ideas, and kind of figured out what's gonna be what color. Got the list all drawn out, figured out a few things. So now it's time to bring this thing in and tear it down completely. So we tear it down this time. This will be the last time it comes apart. We're going to go ahead and get everything over to sandblasting and, get all the ball joints and bushings pushed out of everything in here, get everything over to sandblasting and start getting some color on it. We got to get this rear axle apart, get it all drained out, the fluid drained out. We got to get these coilovers taken apart. So it's going to be quite the process to get this thing torn apart. Once we get everything apart, like I said in the last video, we're going to tape everything off, sand and paint this frame. We gave it a good pressure washing and it cleaned up pretty decently, but we're still going to hit it with some sandpaper, maybe a wire wheel, and get a nice layer of paint over the top of it so that it looks nice and clean. We're going to have to cut these crash bars. I'm going to try to cut it off flush with the frame if I can, just because I don't want this sticking out at SEMA. So I'm going to try to cut that off. We have to body work it a little bit, we will, but obviously the goal here is cleanliness. We want it to be clean, classy, and overall like good craftsmanship. So this thing will be on the big stage, and obviously this will be our first time going to SEMA. So we want to make as much of a splash as we can with this Bronco. I can already say that this thing is a lot bigger, a lot wider, and going to be a lot more over the top than the Bronco that was there last year. There obviously has been a solid axle swap Bronco in this body style. There's been a SEMA already, but I think it's about as good as it gets without solid axle swapping it. So we got a few things in the mix that we're gonna do that we haven't said anything about. Obviously, pretty soon we'll be getting stuff back from Paint Match. We can start throwing the body back together and everything. But with that being said, we're gonna get this thing into the shop and get this thing taken apart, and we'll pick you up when we get it apart. Alright guys, get your last look at it in this form, because once it comes apart, it'll be here for quite some time. We gonna get everything torn down, get the seals out of the calipers, bushings out of control arms, ball joints, everything. We're gonna get all that torn down. So enjoy the time lapse of us taking this thing apart. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got a lot of it torn down and a lot of parts laying around. So what you see here, all the control arms have to have the ball joints and the bushings pushed out and the coilovers We got to pop the coils off, get those out of there. We're going to drill some holes in the cross member for the overlays. Same story, these control arms. The CV axles, we're going to take those and body work those a little bit and sand them down smooth, have them painted real nice. These 4-link arms, we are going to have to get these bushings out. Hoping that we can get a set of adjustable 4-link just because it'll look a little bit better. But as of right now, we are going to be using the factory 4-link. So we're going to go ahead and press these bushings out. If we don't use them, then it's not that big of a deal. Same thing with the track bar and everything. But you take a look, we got to get this axle. We got to dive into it, get all the rotors, the backing plates, take the diff cover off, get the fluid drained out of it, get the pinion flange off, and go ahead and pull the carrier out and get these ABS sensors out of the way, and then degrease it, and it'll be ready for powder coat. So I'll film me taking this axle apart. You know, they're pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and they come apart from the factory as long as you keep the shims and everything where they were originally. Then you don't have to worry about putting it back together. You don't got to set anything. So, because they set it from the factory where it needs to be. We're not re-gearing it at this moment, just for time's sake. We're not going to re-gear it right this second. So we're just going to pull it out and put it back together exactly the way it came out. But this thing is only a year or two old, and look how rusty these backing plate bolts already are. I'm definitely a Ford man, but Ford, you got to do better about that. I mean, this thing is just a couple years old, and it's already got surface rust everywhere. These rotors look horrible. Um, we might end up getting new rotors before we powder coat them. I don't know. We'll kind of see what they look like after they've been sandblasted and kind of make a determination there, because we want all the power to be flat, smooth like glass. And obviously, when stuff rusts, it pits, and you can see it sometimes with a powder coat. So we'll see about that. But yeah, this thing is majority of the way torn down. We're gonna, start sanding and painting the frame and everything, and we'll kind of time lapse that, B-roll that. I'm not sure exactly how we're gonna set that up yet. That may even be another video, but for this video, we want to get this axle torn apart and get it ready for powder coat. So I guess when we get into that, we'll pick you guys back up. All right, guys, so we're gonna first take out this fill plug. Sometimes they're stuck, so I like to go ahead and take it out before I take the diff cover off. That way I don't have to fight it. So we'll go ahead and pop this off. It wasn't even tight. Wow. All right. Let that drain a little bit. We'll go ahead and pop off all the diff cover bolts. Got all the bolts out. I'll take our screwdriver, pop this diff cover off. These have reusable gaskets, so these are not too terrible. All right. Then you got the carrier in there. All right, guys. So on these Dana 44 rear axles, obviously there's no C-clip holding it inside. It's just the bearing over here. Once you undo your backing plate, you can slide this out. This thing's all rusty inside somehow already, so we just took the air hammer, hit it around this housing a little bit, which is going to get sandblasted and everything. We try to create some vibration to loosen it up. Once we did that, we're going to slide this axle shaft out just like this. Whew. Talk about a beefy rear axle setup. This shaft is as big as it is on the Super Duties. So we got the straps for the diff over here. I laid them out in the orientation that they go. I'm going to end up marking them. But as I pull the diff apart, I'm going to lay it out on this thing, on this sheet. And we're going to lay it out as the way it came out of the axle, so that when we go to store it, we'll put it somewhere just the way it came out. So we're going to put it back together. We'll just put it back together the way it came out. So we're going to get the bolts off this backing plate over here and get this axle shaft out. Once we do that, we'll be able to pull this carrier out. Once we get the carrier out, we'll go ahead and take this pinion flange off where the drive shaft attached to, and we'll get the pinion out of here, and it'll pretty much be ready. There is bearing races on the inside of the axle tubes. We'll have to pop those out and everything. I'll do all that off camera, but we're going to get this axle fully stripped down, and it'll be ready for powder coat. So let's get this one pulled out and get this carrier coming out. All right, guys, so the axle was stripped completely down. Got the pinion out of there. It's out. And like I said, we laid it out exactly how it came out. So on this pinion, we got the lower pinion bearing, the upper pinion bearing, all that kind of stuff. The crush sleeve still in there. Obviously, we're going to do crush sleeve and everything. Whatever races we pop out, we'll get brand new. We laid it out as this goes on. Obviously, that shim goes to the driver's side, so we'll be able to put that right back the way that it went. And all the straps are in the right orientation. So, that's how we limit, any issues with this. We pull it out the way it came out and put it right back in, since nothing's getting changed. So this axle, we're going to degrease it, and it's ready for powder coat. So now we just got to get to taking these coilovers apart and getting all these bushings pressed out, which is my least favorite part of powder coat. I hate pressing bushings and ball joints. It's always a pain. So we're going to get all that prepped and get it ready, and should have this stuff at sandblasting by tomorrow and go ahead and start getting some color and everything. But that'll be another video. So I think we're going to end this video right here for today. We got some pretty good progress made for this week. Next week's episode will be obviously probably some of this stuff. I'll probably record some of us pushing these bushings and ball joints out, and then we will start getting this thing masked off and get everything taped up, and we will start on this frame. It looks like we are going to have to drop the gas tank to get this out, so we'll have to do that. That'll be in the next video as well. So we're going to end it here for the week. So make sure you tune in next week to keep up with the progress as we go. And guys, make sure you subscribe. We're doing this because y'all asked us to. We had an uproar of people asking us to do YouTube, so we're doing it for you. It obviously takes a lot of time, and it slows us down just a tad when it comes to working and stuff like that, having to stop, pick up the camera, turn the microphones on, and you name it. So make sure you like and subscribe. So make sure you like and subscribe so that we feel like it's worth it, and it kind of gives us motivation to continue, because we don't mind doing this kind of stuff. Because I know me personally, I like watching this stuff, just like I'm sure most of y'all do. So, I don't mind doing it and putting the content out there. We have plenty of stuff to make content with, as all the trucks we have coming in and out. Like I said in the last video, we have the cat eye out back. We got it sitting there just because it is Austin's personal truck. We were solid axle swapping it. So we put it out here just.
I'm Austin.
So it's not taking up shop space. And then this van right here, we got a set of Super Duty axles right there for the cat eye. But this van over here, we already did the solid front axle on it. Everything's kind of, all everywhere. We haven't buttoned it completely up, but we do have a Super Duty axle under this. This thing was originally an I-beam truck and two-wheel drive. So we put a dually front axle under it, and we got a transfer case. We got Kelderman rear air ride for it. Obviously, we got the APOC 3.8 and everything, Fox shocks. We're fixing to put the rear lift in. Like I said, that's going to be Kelderman rear air. So, like I said, we have plenty of stuff to make content with, so we have no problem making content. So just make sure you hit the like and subscribe button to kind of help us get into the algorithm, help us grow. Obviously, the more we grow, the easier it's going to be for us to film, you know. So just make sure you like and subscribe and keep up to date. Share it with your friends if you want to. This is a big deal for us going to SEMA. I've never been. It's always been my dream as a kid growing up, and obviously as a shop owner to go to SEMA. So, make sure you like and subscribe, and we're going to film the whole process. So let us know what you think.